Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to The Nest. It's July 23rd, 2020, and we're streaming live with participants from Africa, North America, Europe, and around the world. For those of you joining for the first time, I'm Jim Chu in San Francisco, California, and the goal here on The Nest is to connect entrepreneurs in frontier markets with angel investors worldwide. We stream live every Thursday, and all episodes are recorded and available on our website, findthenest.org. Today, we have an all-female cast, 2 inspiring entrepreneurs with transformative businesses in sub-Saharan Africa, and 3 angels, all hailing currently from Cape Town, beautiful Cape Town. We'll hear all about them in a second, but before that, I have a few quick announcements. So next week on July 30th, we'll host a joint session in partnership with 1000 Alternatives, focusing on East African startups. The week after that, on August 6th, we will host a session with IntelliCap. And then on August 13th, we'll be heading to Nigeria for a session focused on Nigerian startups. So join us for all of those sessions at 9 a.m. San Francisco time, 5 p.m. London time, and hope to see you there. So now, with that, let's cover some technical tips and get us started. So for those of you in the audience, we want you to be part of the discussion. This is an interactive forum, and we've left it open on purpose for questions and comments. So use that chat box, talk to others watching the show, make comments, ask questions. And in the meantime, use that chat to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, which country you're from, why you're here on the show, and of course, answer the poll that's up right now. And please don't forget to use that mute button if you're not speaking. So that's pretty much it. Let's get going. Now over to the angels. Sarah, welcome back to The Nest. This is your second time on The Nest. Would you like to start with introductions?
Thank you so much, Jim. It's fantastic to be back. Thank you for what you're doing in creating this opportunity for entrepreneurs across the continent. It's an amazing.
Glad that you're a part.
Thank you. So I am Sarah Dusek, the general managing partner of Enigma Ventures, which is a venture capital fund investing in women-led businesses across SADC, so the 16 countries that make up SADC in Southern Africa.
Great. And Enigma, now that fund was started fairly recently, right? In this last year?
Oh, we're about 6 months old, yes.
6 months old. So how many investments have you guys made since?
We've made 2 in the last 6 months. We've closed 2, and we've got 6 others in the hopper. So we're
and potentially 2 more today, right?
Hopefully 2 more today. Who knows?
Great. Well, wonderful. Thank you for joining. Hannah?
Thank you very much, Jim. Good evening, everyone. Very happy to be here. My name is Hannah. I am a principal at Southwest Capital, which is one of the largest private equity house on the continent. We manage close to $1 billion. But I'm also a partner at Dazzle Angels, which is the first South African angel fund led by women and only investing in women-led tech businesses in the country. I have also started to expand my angel investment activity on the rest of the continent. And as I teach, as I'm acting as a lecturer at the African Leadership Academy, I have the opportunity to advise a lot of entrepreneurs on the continent on various topics, including finance, operations, commercial strategies, growth, and obviously fundraising. So super excited to be here tonight, and hopefully 1 or 2 entrepreneurs will be convincing enough for us to have a look.
Great. And we were just talking earlier that you're now the host of the Francophone version of The Nest.
Yes, actually, yes, definitely host and sort of co-producing the Francophone African version of The Nest in French, and every 2 to 3 weeks changing countries. We had an edition in Togo, Benin. Last night was in Senegal, where again, the episode was very successful, very well attended. And it's quite moving to see a lot of French-speaking Africans saying for the first time we have the opportunity to actually learn and understand how to pitch, how to improve our businesses, how to raise money. So it's quite an interesting journey.
Gotcha. So we were just talking earlier that the English version of the Nest has raised quite a bit of money. So I think the Francophone version needs to start to catch up now.
French-speaking people talk a lot. It takes a bit more time, but at the end of the day, yes, hopefully the money will start to roll as well.
Wonderful. Thank you again for coming back for a second time. And then we also have a new angel on the show, Kindle Burett. Please, let's hear from you.
Hi, Michael. Thanks so much for, or Jim, thank you so much for inviting me on.
Some people call me Michael, it's okay.
I know, sorry. I put, yeah. So I do investing exclusively in Africa. I've invested primarily either on behalf of funds. I'm an advisor now to Financial Sector Deepening Africa Investments, or as a fund manager, or being part of a fund. But I've started doing a lot more angel investing, and it's a lot more fun doing that than, because you can invest in whatever you want. And I've really enjoyed that. So I've done investments in fintech, machine learning, health tech, med tech, and logistics. So I am really enjoying my role as an angel. And then I advise other companies that are looking to expand into new markets or looking to raise capital.
Great, wonderful. Well, thank you all three for joining the show. And I think we might have the results of the poll. Can we put that up? Wonderful. It looks like we have a pretty good representation from various parts of the world, a lot in Africa, and a bunch from North America as well, and a few from Europe. Wonderful. And even a person from Asia. So wonderful. Great. All right. So let's head over to the presenters. We have Ella and Elahor from CodeLn and Powered by People. I believe, Elahor, you're going to get started with the first presentation. But before we do that, let's go over some of the rules. Each of you will have 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes to present, and then another 15 to 20 minutes for questions and hopefully some discussions on a deal. We will cut you off at 5 minutes, so please help us respect the time so that we can have a good discussion. All right, with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to hand it over to Elahor, you can share your screen.
Hello everyone, I am Ella Thomas, CEO of CodeLn, and today I'll be sharing with you the CodeLn story. Having worked in the tech space, my co-founders and I discovered a common problem. Recruiting programmers can be hectic and time-consuming. It takes an average of 3 months to fill a key tech role. Meet Esther, the HR at Union Bank. During the COVID lockdown, she was tasked to urgently fill up roles in her IT department. Her challenges were where to find skilled programmers, how to verify their quality, and the long time to hire. But not anymore. Using our talent marketplace, Esther can easily source for talent and manage our applications in one platform in the nick of time. Our testing tool allows her to seamlessly verify the coding skills of potential hires. We were able to help Esther hire 12 engineers during the COVID lockdown. Of course, we're solving a global problem, and these are some of our closest competitors. But the good news is we know what they have for breakfast. Student and offers in places programmers to local opportunities, while Jobam and VanHack and Upwork is focused on general professionals. Comment, on the other hand, connects freelancers to opportunities, short-term gigs and remote opportunities. But we are unique in the sense that we offer vetting, a testing platform to verify the coding skills of programmers, thereby reducing the risk of a bad hire by 70%. Our processes are automated for speed, which reduces the time to hire from 3 months to 2 weeks, cutting down recruitment time by 80%. We are also addressing the niche market and creating impact by connecting African programmers to global opportunities. I'm sure you agree with me that programming language is the only global language. We are currently in 2 markets, Ghana and Nigeria, and the size of this market is estimated at $38 million US. We bill our clients a 15% commission on the programmer's annual gross salary, which is the recruitment fee. And based on this, we have estimated a projected revenue of 7.1 million USD with a 75% margin by 2024. CodeLn started in Q4 2018, and like most successful marketplaces, our focus was on the supply side, talent acquisition, and product development. In Q4 of 2019, we shifted focus to the client side. And by the end of this year, specifically in November, we will be licensing our testing platform, our in-house testing platform, to companies in order for them to vet their candidates for a fee. This will be an additional source of revenue to the company. We are currently in Ghana and Nigeria, but we are looking to scale and expand across key regions, starting with Kenya and France. Now, why France, you may ask? In 2019, Pôle Emploi reported that 50,000 IT positions in France were left unfilled. So that's an opportunity. Myself and my co-founders are very passionate about the problem of unemployment. So we are looking to scale into other roles starting Q4 2024. So far, we have acquired 9,000 programmers. We have filled up 58 job positions, and we have realized 46,000 USD in revenue. These are some of our clients and partners. To mention a few, Estée Cloud and Rincho based in Paris. We have our programmers from Ivory Coast working remotely for them. We have one of our programmers from Cameroon working with Wikipedia team on a project. And of course, you've heard the Union Bank success story. We are gladly supported by IBM, Microsoft, and Lagos State for the talent side. And Station F, the biggest incubator in the world, will be assisting us as we plan to enter into the French market. Meet Team CodeLn. We are mentored by Tosin Faneru. She heads the Lagos Innovate project at Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Myself, Eloho, I have an MSc in Systems Engineering with a major in Artificial Intelligence. Dexter and Felicia are seasoned software engineers, and Dennis is also a seasoned cybersecurity engineer. Together, we have over 28 years experience working across sales, recruitment, and software engineering. We're looking to raise 300,000 USD for 15% of our company. Funds will be put into sales and marketing, company expansion, and staffing. We are also interested in speaking to partners who believe in our mission. Thank you.
Fabulous. Right on time. Perfect. Wow. I guess we'll just hand it straight over to the angels. Who'd like to start?
Hi, Hannah here. Thank you very much, Eleho, for your presentation. Amazing. I just have some questions regarding your revenue generation model. At this stage, it sounds like you only have one revenue stream, which is a commission that you take on the placement of an engineer. So I have two questions here. How do you ensure that the company is not going to lie to you about the salary they are going to pay to the candidates to obviously decrease the amount of money they have to pay to you? And the second question is, are you thinking about new revenue, like models or new ideas that could continue to generate more money for your company? And sorry, third question, you mentioned that some of your programmers are not necessarily hired by the company, but they are working on dedicated IT projects. So how do you get money from that? What's a revenue model?
Okay. So how it works for, I'll address the first question. So that's how do I ensure that the companies don't lie to us? So our recruitment fee is a success fee. That's what we call it. So it is after they have presented an offer to the candidates that we get paid. So based on the offer letter of the employee, that is where how we write our invoice for payment. So we've not had issues with companies paying or agreeing less with us and pitching. And even at that, we post every job on our platform. So it's based on the salary we relate with the engineers, right? So we've not really had that challenge so far. Now, in terms of the second question, models of revenue. So I'd like to emphasize based on our roadmap. Now, we follow the strategy of most successful marketplaces like Airbnb, Lyft, Uber, and the likes, right? So our first year of operation was based on two key things. We had two key KPIs. firstly, to focus on the supply side, because the only way we could go to clients and say, we have engineers for your position is if we actually have the talent in huge numbers, right? And also product development. So we started pushing for sales based on this current model in December 2019. So we started pushing for sales, I'm saying the past 6 months so far, right? So based on that, we've realized the revenue we have. So for new business model, yes. I mentioned our testing platform in Q4 2020. So this is a tool we've developed over the year and we use in-house. We are currently working on a patent for it. It's a proprietary software solution, right? So we have realized that there's a market for it. We are currently running a pilot with one of our clients to test the platform. And we gave him a business model that is, I think for him, are testing with 250 software engineers that he has, right? So if this works successfully well, based on the model we are building, we are going to launch this in starting Q4 of 2020. And then we've had clients, we've worked with international clients, and some of them, or most of them, have mentioned that they would want us to manage payroll, right, when their engineers are working remotely. So we also see that as an additional source of income so far. Then going fast forward to Q4 2024, well, we see a great opportunity generally looking at our competitors like Upwork. They've been running for 20 years and they address different other non-tech roles. So that's something we want to explore. Then, sorry, the last question. Could you please repeat it?
But I think you have kind of addressed it. I'm happy regarding the answer. No, you mentioned that some of your engineers are working on
okay, yes.
projects. How do you call those projects, and how is it for you, or is it profitable for you to do that?
Okay, yeah. So that's also part of the we still do the commission-based model, but in this case, for short-term projects, for example, if the engineer is to work for 3 months, and we build it on a pro rata basis, right? Then if the engineer is handling a project and they are billing them at once, we take a commission. So it's still a similar commission approach.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any of the other angels have questions or comments?
Otherwise, happy to. Oh, please go ahead.
I was just going to say, Elafor, that was an excellent pitch. That might have been the best pitch I have heard in a long while, and I'm hearing a lot these days. So you should be very proud. That was an excellently executed pitch. You hit all the relevant sort of pieces of the puzzle. You clearly outlined your business. You clearly outlined the opportunity. You outlined your potential growth. And you made a clear ask for funding. So very well done. Very good job. I'm very interested in this business. We're just investing in another recruitment company. So this would be a very interesting sort of parallel investment for us. So that's interesting. So I'd love to dig deeper with you in your business model and take a look at this with you at greater length offline after we're done. My question for you right now is, where are you based? And talk me through you said you're operating in sort of Nigeria and Ghana. So is that just that developers that are on the platform are in Nigeria and Ghana, or the clients? So maybe just talk me through the location piece so I wrap my brain a bit around that.
Okay, so to do that, we are currently based in, so we started, just to go over the our journey, we started after an accelerator program in Ghana, right? Okay. So like I mentioned, 4 of us, we have a background in engineering. We met and we discovered that we had seen a similar problem, and we had the expertise to solve a problem. Like they always say, engineers, only engineers can identify a good engineer, right? So it's a very Pan-African team. I'm from Nigeria, Dexter is from Ivory Coast, Felicia and Dennis are from Kenya. But we are, the co-founders are working on the project full-time, and we all live in Ghana, right? So in mid last year, last Q3, we expanded to Nigeria. Now we expand to a country based on data. So in terms of the talent, because we spent about a year acquiring this talent. We have 9,000 currently, over 15 African countries, right? So for them, our product is a SaaS product. It's just as easy as they come in to sign up. So we looked into our data, and we have them across African countries, but we have a lot of them from most of our countries, because we had community before we started the company. So we have a lot of them from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Kenya, and from Ivory Coast, then from other regions, Namibia and the other countries, right? So in terms of the talent, it's, for now, we have them across 15 African countries. Then for clients, so for the clients, we have, I would say, 85% of our clients from Africa. So now digging deep into Africa, we have them from Ghana, from Nigeria, from, we've worked with a client from South Africa and also from Kenya, right? Now from outside of Africa, we have clients like Digital Ocean. Digital Ocean is based in the US, right? And we have Tech Cloud and Rincio from Paris. So my co-founder that is from Ivory Coast was in France in February to do some detailed market research for about 3 weeks, right? So he was able to get us some clients from that market. And we see a great opportunity for our Francophone talent in that region, right? And we also have Wikipedia. That's one of our notable clients. We have one of our engineers from Cameroon working with them. So I would say for the client base, it's 85% African and the remaining 15% from, I would say, mostly Europe.
Okay.
Yes.
Talk me through how you think about acquiring clients. How do you think you can scale your ability to add more clients to your portfolio? Because obviously the success of the platform depends on your ability to grow 2 streams, your pool of engineers, which you seem to have done a really good job of. If you've got 9,000 of them already on the platform, which is a huge number, so that's awesome. How are you thinking about scaling your ability to put them in jobs effectively, so having more clients?
Okay, great question. So our focus is on, so I personally, I head the Nigerian department. So what has worked, different markets have different strategies that have worked for them, right? So in Nigeria, direct sale has been very effective before, of course, COVID. So meeting clients, like for example, Union Bank, we had to have, because it's a big establishment, we had a series of meetings with them, right? So that has worked. And also online, I would say online sales. So using paid ads and even organically, right? Reaching out to or targeting specific clients online. We use LinkedIn ads, which has proven very effective. But so it's still a similar model in Ghana as well, compared to Nigeria too. And we have partners that also help us with this search. So speaking outside of Africa, to mention our move into France, Station F is the biggest incubator in the world. They are housing over 8,000 startups, right? So when we started, we started with startups because it was easier for us to reach key decision makers, right? So even looking at our business model, startups abroad even offer much more than some companies over here. So we got into the Station F program last month, right? So we couldn't travel this, we were supposed to travel this month. We couldn't travel because of travel ban. So we are shifting that to January. So getting to France, that is already a market for us, right? We are going to be in the incubator for a period of time. So we can start from that approach. So this will help us acquire clients faster, right? And we're also looking at working with key strategic partners in this region. I'd like to mention Africa Works. Africa Works is one of our partners in Berlin. So they actually reach out to us because they are focused on African talent, and we are their pipeline for hiring, for placing, offering them talents from Africa. So they place the candidates with their clients. So we have a form of revenue share agreement between them. So we've been noticing a lot of interest coming from Germany from that angle. So far, we've been reached by 3 recruitment agencies. These are key recruitment agencies. So we are like their partners for tech hiring from Africa. So we also see that partnerships like this will help us go far in client base.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Jim, just as a matter of process, is it okay if I ask questions one by one, and about how much time?
Absolutely. So we have another 10 minutes left.
Okay, great.
For questions, up to 10 minutes.
Okay. Great. Ella Hort, very nice to meet you. I did a little bit of snooping around on the web to learn a bit more about you.
Thank you.
And it's clear to me that you really love learning and education. I'd like to understand a little bit more what motivated you really to start this business.
Okay, I think that's a very interesting question. So in 2016, I have a background in engineering, like I mentioned. So I'd worked with Jumia, that's Africa's top e-commerce platform, in sales. So I have some experience in sales, across sales, recruitment, and software development. So in 2016, I facilitated a training in collaboration with Lagos State government and one of the key tech players in Lagos State. So the aim of the training was to get 100 graduates trained on software development. So I was more like a trainer. I was handling about 25 students at the time. So it was a detailed 3-month intensive training from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the end goal was that the government promised that at the end of 3 months, every single person will be placed on a job, right? That they will offer them jobs, right? So we had some candidates that quit their job to go for this training. So I watched candidates move from 0 level to becoming full stack engineers. I watched their strive. I saw when they were facing challenges and they were sad. I saw when they succeeded and they were excited, you know, but well, like they would always say, like it's expected. At the end of the training, we had over 70% success rate. And I would say the sad part was that only about 5% of the candidates were placed on jobs. And those 5% were candidates that had connection to government officials. So it was really sad, and the candidates came to me and they were complaining, and I felt really bad that, okay, this is not a problem I can solve, right? I mean, it's not really something I could solve at the time. So fast forward to 2017, when my co-founders and I were brainstorming on ideas, I was like, okay, fine, this is a great thing to do. We shared the ideas together. We did some couple of pivots before we got to this point. So for me, I always have something I say. It is, I believe that learning to code can be quite a journey, and anyone who has learned how to code should be rewarded their dream job.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's a great motivation. I have a question around competitive advantage. And I actually did see a presentation that you had done where you were comparing your company against your competitors. And the two outstanding items that you really focused on in terms of where you really excelled was one on price and the other was on certification. But I do wonder sometimes if price competition is sustainable. So would you agree with me that those are where you excel? And if not, what is your real competitive advantage?
Okay, so price is relative, right? Depending on which market you're addressing. So I would say we offer value for money. I'll put it that way, right? So we actually offer value for money because for us, the co-founders and I are passionate about what we do. I can say that we are affordable compared to some of our competitors or the major players in the space, right? But in terms of how we are different distinctively, I would say these are 3 key areas I'd like to mention. So unlike most of our competitors, it is more like matching candidates to jobs, right? Just the matching, right? Based on skills. But we go deeply further into it by verifying the coding skills of the candidate. So I mentioned our testing tool. So these are proprietary software solutions which we developed in-house that allows us to test the skill of a programmer. So a typical example is if you are a financial institution and you are hiring candidate A to your company, these candidates will most likely be tested on we call this project-based assessment, a short project-based assessment. They'll be expected to build a project on our ID, on our platform that speaks to the areas that they will be most likely employed to work on. So for example, maybe API integration on payments and every other thing. So that is one of our key value. And while we did our market research, speaking to clients, this has always been a challenge. Almost all of them has had a bad hire before. And for engineering, it's quite different. You might not know that this engineer is bad until he has been with you for like 2 months, right? When he can't deliver on the project. And that's time wasted, right? That's time loss, that's productivity wasted. So we are trying to reduce this mistake with our testing platform, verifying that the candidate has the right skills. And by so doing, we are cutting down the risk of a bad hire by 70%. Now, our processes are automated. As I mentioned earlier, based on our market research, it takes an average of 3 months to fill a key tech role, right? So because our processes are automated, that's why we took some time building a solid project. So on our platform, companies can come and post job. Immediately they post the job, they see recommendations, right? They can manage the application. We have an applicant tracking system. They can manage the candidate's application. They can test the candidate using our testing platform. And then they can even present an offer. So it's a holistic product, right? So this way, we are speeding up the recruitment process, cutting down recruitment time to 2 weeks. We've done some hires in 1 week before, right? So it can be as low as that. And of course, well, for us, being Africans, we see a great potential in Africa because Africa has, according to a report by UN, over 70% of the population. Africa is the youngest youth population, right? So we see a great potential here, even though we are starting with engineering now because we have the expertise. We believe that we can solve it at this point, but we see this growing into something big and we see this scaling into other sectors, right? So for us, we are creating opportunities for Africa. If there's a huge population of youth in Africa, how can we better help them get jobs? And then it's programming language. Python is the same in Asia. Python is the same in America, in different parts of the world. So they can still compete with their counterparts in any part of the world and deliver on a project.
Okay,
So there's
cool.
a couple of questions from the audience around competition and especially on where you plan to scale to. But, you know, we heard a little bit about your competitive advantage, but more directly, what prevents another company to do what you're doing? You're still fairly small, so you don't have the network effect yet. So somebody can come in right now and replicate a lot of what you're putting together. So where's your moat? What's your defense strategy there?
Great question. So I'd like to take it a bit back to the team, right? For us, like I mentioned, this is a Pan-African team. So we have Anglophone West Africa, Francophone West Africa, and East Africa represented. So part of our strongest selling point is our community. So we're able to get to 9,000 engineers. Even most of our competitors have not gotten this number. We're able to get to 9,000 engineers because I personally was running a community before I started CodeLn. And it's the same is the case for Dexter and Felicia. So we have a community around us before we started, or we've had a community around us before we started CodeLn. So when we launched, it was as easy as pushing our platform to our community and saying, okay, this is what we are doing, and you people should sign up. So we see that our ability to scale can be really very fast because of our ground experience. We are available, we understand the market, I would say maybe better than the competitors, right? Especially those that are not local competitors, because most of them that are not local competitors might have the funds to push this faster, right? So I would say that is one of our key advantage. Then in terms of our testing platform as here, we can brag that we are the first African company to build something like that. I've not seen till date any African company that has built such. So we are doing a patent. We are working on a patent which should cover us for, I think, a minimum of 10 years for the platform.
Gotcha. And there's a comment from the audience, just very quick. Sorry about that. We're coming from the audience on that, which is, you know, your brand named US and European corporate clients is a pretty good name list from Jonathan Levine here. And so there aren't that many frontier market versions of this that have been successful in engaging that. So that's the comment. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I had a question regarding the uniqueness of your vetting tool and how sophisticated and technical it is, but you answered in the fact that you're working on a patent, so that's a very, very good point. Can you talk very briefly about the operational cost a little bit, what are the maintenance costs associated to those platforms, and when do you think you will see a path to profitability? Because you quoted companies like Uber, for instance, as a model, but I think in terms of profitability, yeah, it's a bit tricky. So what's your...
And I just have to say, we're starting to run out of time. So if you can answer that very quickly, I would love to hear from the angels on their thoughts on
and just one, it's okay, Jim, one complimentary question, which is how many placements until you're profitable?
Good question.
Okay, great. So taking Anna's question, I'll try to wrap it up. So maintenance cost is really really low tech because we spend on tech infrastructure, which is cloud engineering for the testing platform. So it depends on how many candidates we test. So it's a unit, we calculate it based on unit. So to test one candidate, it will cost us, based on our calculation, a minimum of $2. So it can be as low as $2. Then the business model we are currently testing with the client I mentioned on pilot is a $5,000 fee, licensing fee to test about 500 candidates, right? So our cost can be that low in terms of tech. Then another area where we feel we might spend a lot is for sales, for building our sales team, because the more salespeople we have, the more we can expand. Sorry, your question again, Kindle. Just
how many placements until you become profitable?
Profitable, okay, great. So yes. So currently we've done 58, and based on our calculation, we should break even in 1 year with 311 placements.
311. That's a good question. Great. Well, so now over to the angels. What are your thoughts? Is this something you guys are interested in?
From my perspective, I mean, I think it's a very interesting business. And, you know, I did some sort of asking around before, and you come highly recommended. Elahor, I have invested in Superfluid Labs as an angel. So you know where one recommendation came from. I'd like to speak some more. I'd love to talk some more and learn a little bit more about the business. And I like the impact perspective in terms of job creation. So I'm interested.
Thank you.
Hannah here. I still have some questions indeed in terms of competition and how you can define your business model, but definitely I think you've got something here that is quite attractive, and I know two potential founders based in Nigeria would be interested in this kind of opportunity, so I will definitely make the introductions. Subject to successful due diligence post-production.
And as I said, Elahor, I'm super interested. I think this could be a really interesting investment for us. So I'm definitely interested to chat more.
Fabulous. Well, it sounds like great results from the angel crew. And we actually did a quick little poll from the audience as well. Can we put that up really quickly? So it looks like the audience agrees with you. There's quite a bit of interest all around in potentially investing. And I think from our side, Untapped, maybe not as investors, but we'd certainly be interested as a customer. We do quite a bit of IT work throughout Africa, and I'm convinced that having developers who understand the local context helps tremendously. So I'll be coming to you as a potential customer, and hopefully we could find some talent through CodeLn.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that presentation. Congratulations for getting some great interest from the angels, and wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Now over to Ella.
Hello, my name is Ella Painovich, and I am the founder and CEO of Powered by People. Previously, founder of the ethical jewelry brand Soko, where I built a network of over 2,500 independent producers producing 50,000 units per month and selling over $4 million in US annually. It was also there that I witnessed the massive opportunity for really taking this model of distributed manufacturing beyond a single brand to really a broader product category as well as geographies. Powered by People is the Alibaba for Africa, spearheading the future of ethical commerce. For the over 300 million creative manufacturers worldwide, Powered by People is a business-to-business technology platform connecting them to mainstream retail partners with distributed production, enterprise management, and financing tools. As an ecosystem solution, Powered by People addresses challenges across what is really a fragmented value chain, including lack of transparency, lack of market access, and lack of financing. The creative manufacturing sector, including personal and home accessories, fashion, personal essentials, and also boutique agribusiness, is estimated to grow from about $500 billion to $1 trillion annually by 2023, and yet it is 95% self-financed. Addressing this mobile-first and distributed sector, we are building an ecosystem of products and services, including a business-to-business marketplace, financing against the marketplace transactions, and also digital tools to enable a distributed mobile-first community of producers to not only participate, but compete as mainstream offering in the global retail market. Our first product is our production management solution, which leverages really a robust factory level technology with the scalability of the personal mobile phone. We are able to link all the way from a customer order from an international buyer down to the individual raw material source and all of the processes and people which have touched that product along the way. We are currently piloting this with our partner industry, which has a network of over 60,000 independent producers across India and Africa, and is a global supplier to IKEA. Our second offering is our purchase order financing, which we facilitate on our production orders using an alternative risk rating. These enablers, the financing and production tools for producers globally, really increase to then take on volume across the sector. The business-to-business marketplace then offers international buyers the ability to connect, transact securely, and also have the level of transparency of transactions that they desire. Our leadership has decades of experience and deep personal networks. We have seen a fast-paced rate of growth. Since launching our product development effectively 6 months ago, we have proven incredible traction and progress to date, with growing networks of both producers and buyers and early market fit. Since launch, Powered by People has been able to show traction across our product offering. With our retail partners, we have visibility into over $24 million in transactions each year, with 25 manufacturing businesses across 5 continents. And with our MasterCard Foundation sector survey, which we just closed this month, we have amassed a pipeline of over 500 producer organizations globally, 2 of which are now paying clients, and we are scheduled to bring on an additional 12 businesses, onboarding them before the end of the year. We are also just beginning a partnership with Founders Factory Africa, where we are hoping to develop our closed marketplace with an established retailer before the end of the year. We have a multi-pronged revenue model across our products and services within the platform. Our 2-sided marketplace, which services both buyers and artisans, we aim to capture actually a take rate of 10% on both sides of the transaction. Our financing is 18 to 36% annualized interest, but oftentimes dispersed on about a 2 to 3 month cycle. And to date, we have supported over $175,000 in purchase order value. Our technology is a SaaS subscription model with fees between $25 and $250 per month. We have a diverse and experienced team. We live across 6 time zones, 10 languages, with headquarters in Kenya, India, and Canada. And with an in-house development team in Kenya of 7 engineers led by myself. All of us are focused and passionate about building a technology for and from Africa for the rest of the world. COVID has only really accelerated our demand and the sector's demand for distributed remote production tools. And we are looking for capital to really lean into this moment and support the growth of creative manufacturing. We are asking for $200,000 in equity within a $500,000 round. Minimum tickets of $25,000 are good with us if you come with great connections. And we welcome you to join us in our mission to leverage technology and to expand the creative manufacturing sector across Africa and beyond.
Fabulous. Right on time as well. Thank you very much for that presentation, Ella. Over to the angels.
Great presentation, Ella. That was really, really good. I love what you're doing. I would love you to break down for me a little bit more how you make money. So keeping it really simple for us, explain to us the journey of, and you've got several different revenue streams, which I've followed completely. Yeah. But can you break it down a little bit more? Maybe take each one and go, you know, this transaction looks like this. Sure. We think we're going to. Does that make sense? Just break it down for us so it's a bit more, a bit clearer for us on how the company makes money.
Yeah, of course. I think this is a very difficult question to answer in a short amount of time, but I will attempt to get
So just
some progress on this.
Really simple and thinking about sort of your unit economics. So saying if we connect somebody who's making something and they're selling something, we make X. If we do this, we make Y. Just keep it really simple for us.
And it would be great so sorry, but same question would be great if you could talk about the countries in which you work, because you talked about Africa, India, but it's a bit difficult to understand where are your clients, how do they pay in dollars, which currency, like how it actually works.
Yeah. We are primarily focused on, similar to my last business, looking at organizations and brands from the global south, frankly. So my business partner and I come into our business with about 5,000 different producer organizations globally that we look to network into a marketplace. We are currently sourcing from around the world, but for export. So our buyers are primarily in the US and Europe, and even parts of Southeast Asia. And we are effectively able to capture the transaction coming in from US dollars and euros, and then transfer that into the local markets. One of our unfair advantages is we are, through our partnership with Founders Factory Africa, also looking to develop a partnership, long-term partnership, maybe not immediately, with Standard Bank, to also look at creating that network for facilitation of remittance and also interesting sort of financing solutions for the sector. So we are trying to really build up a number of things with regard to sort of that remittance Forex piece. On the individual revenue streams, I think this is probably the best place to start, which is on the marketplace itself. This is our primary revenue generator, which right now we're offering through more of a concierge service, and we'll launch kind of a private marketplace before the end of the year. But the unit economics on this are that we are looking at, for a $10,000 order, on each side of the transaction. So the buyer would actually pay an additional 10% on that for sourcing, logistics, quality management, for security of that transaction. So they would be paying the total dollar value of products and goods with that 10% added. We can even build that into the price of goods to make that part of the total cost. They might not see that as strictly. We then also charge a 10% to the producer organization. So of a $10,000 transaction, we would then disperse the $9,000 to that individual artisan, capturing actually what would be effectively 20% of an $11,000 transfer. This is comparable to similar systems we've looked at, where Amazon Handmade currently charges a 15% on the transaction to the producer side. And obviously they're more consumer facing, so not on the buyer side. This also, however, is a discovery platform, and it's a marketplace for individuals and buyers to find each other, where traditionally you have to work through very expensive sales organizations. In my last business, 60% of our budget went towards sales and marketing. And so I understand that if you can actually provide an alternative solution for discovering of products, you don't have to hire agents on the buyer side, and you don't have to hire an extensive sort of sales team in a US and European market. A lot of organizations would look towards this as a very cheap way, an accessible way to enter the international market. On the financing piece, right now what we're looking at is purchase order financing and also invoice factoring on the transaction. So again, on this $10,000 transaction, we currently have certain fees for banking fees, but we effectively advance 50% to the organization, to the artisan for production. And then we start interest. So on a $10,000 transaction, we actually only advance 50% of that, so $5,000 of that, and then we start accruing interest on that $5,000. And right now, we've been able to facilitate this with one large buyer in the US who's sourcing from around the world, and we disperse directly to the producer organizations in country. So then we accrue over, on average, about a 2.2 months per transaction, or around 3 months, and then we also have the transaction fees. So this oftentimes ends up being around 3% of a total transaction value, up to as much as 10% for larger production cycles. But it's actually a very accessible and affordable means of capital for organizations that want a quick turn purchase order, and they're also looking at finding fast ways to access it, but only access it when they need it, and we provide that.
So for every dollar you're getting of revenue passing through your platform, you're getting 20 to up to 30 cents in terms of revenues. Did I understand that correctly?
Just on the transaction piece, we would be getting 20 cents on that dollar, and then also with financing on top of that. And again, we're looking at increasing the transaction volume in the sector and ultimately providing more transactions. So yeah, we exactly, it's about, in this case, about 20, 25, 26%.
Gotcha, great.
Ella, go ahead.
Please go ahead.
Go ahead, Hannah.
How much money have you used to date? How was the money spent?
How much have we used to date? Our burn rate right now is around just under $30,000. We have a team, full-time team of 15 individuals. And right now it's really hiring a highly professional and expert team to sort of build out each of these different business units. So right now, yeah, our burn is around 27%. We have 7 months of runway. We have effectively raised just over $700,000, of which just over 500 of that is equity, and also a large amount of grants and some debt that we've now used for passing on to the financing as well. So we still have over half of this still remaining in our coffers.
Gotcha.
So Ella,
sorry, go ahead, Kendall.
yeah, so just one question I have for you is I mean, I really like the business model. You know, I was a little bit nervous at first when I saw that it was related to artisanal businesses, which I don't really know very well. Yeah. But then as I got into it, I realized that you have this marketplace that has some really nifty fintech and sort of mobile applications that aren't the biggest revenue generators, but are really critical to solving some of the bottlenecks you would find in the supply chain. So I really, really like that part of the business. But it seems to me, if I understand the model correctly, that I'm calling them aggregators, I guess you would call them the producers, are really the glue that holds this all together.
Right.
And I'm curious, how do you do due diligence on those entities? And how do you, how can you determine whether or not you can trust that they're going to create the quality that you need for your buyers, and that they'll treat the artisans that supply them fairly? Yeah,
this is, I feel like, a lifetime of work. I've spent 7 years in this sector, and I have to say this is still one of those questions that, I think it's still an ongoing journey for a lot of organizations that try to work with artisans. Still today, there are a lot of what we call gatekeepers and agents who work within the sector between even producer brands and those independent producers, or even an employed producer within that value chain. So one of the things that we've done is really just said, with technology, and I've proven this out in my last business as well, with a network of 2,500 artisans, is that with traceability, with transaction transparency, you can start to actually see for the first time, where is the value being created? How is that being attributed to each of the individuals and the value creation that they're creating in that product? So with information, of course, comes choice, where they can make better decisions around the ethical compliance, which is frankly what buyers are looking for today. So the buyer market has entirely shifted recently, and I learned this within my ethical brand, was that buyers are looking for more right-sized, bespoke production of goods. They want to have a much more diversified, very unique, curated selection of goods. They want exclusivity. So what we're finding is actually there's a new opportunity for creative brands and manufacturing brands to actually meet this new market demand, but it does require that they have traceability and transparency and ethical compliance in that value chain as well, so that they can then compete with mass-produced goods. And this is one of the things that I think, again, it starts with implementation of technology and just proving it over time, that organizations are on the quality piece, that they're performing on time, that they compete on quality, they compete on timelines, they compete on volumes, and they have the compliance that is required to be competitive in the international retail sector.
Can you talk a little bit about the ask? It sounds like you guys are requesting $200,000 for 4% of equity. How did you think about your company valuation? To date, you have generated $11,000 of sales. How did you come up with this number?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big business idea. I think I'm not denying that. I attempted for 8 years building a brand to achieve the same level of scalability. I was able to prove out a lot in that. I come in with a lot of really great networks and experience and proof points. Similarly with my business partner, she's bringing in also similarly a decade of experience actually working and living in Afghanistan for over 12 years and working with artisans there and around the world. And ultimately, you know, we know where we're going. We know what works, we know what doesn't. We have incredible networks. We already have existing networks of investors as well. We've already lined up a number of seed series investors that will be coming in at the beginning of next year. This is really, in our minds, just a way to sort of extend a little bit of our runway to get those proof points in on the marketplace that we want to see, that we feel confident in going on in a larger valuation come kind of Q1 next year. We do have a $5 million cap. We've raised $500,000 on that. It was actually oversubscribed, and in March we were looking to raise an additional $500,000 on that safe note. But then COVID hit, and a lot of investors kind of tightened their wallets a little bit. So we have actually gone more into grants raising in the meantime, and we were really lucky to have Founders Factory come on as well in the last month. So we are really excited about really doubling our team effectively with their expert team in South Africa.
I just want to clarify some of the cash metrics. So you mentioned here you have 120 million transaction volume and 7 million of revenue for Powered by People. How much transaction volume do you need to start breaking even?
Yeah, so this again is, so on our financing right now, we have visibility into $25 million worth of transactions. At any given time, that's equivalent to about $2 million of purchase orders that we could finance if we had the capital. We've only been putting about $45,000 of our own equity money to work. And my parents put in $25,000 of that as a friends and family investment. And so we've just been cycling that through and have been able to cycle that now in a third session. That is part of our revenue. We just this month went public with our first production management tool, which has seen incredible amount of success and excitement. We have a number of demos that have been ongoing and an increased amount of interest because of the pipeline and past relationships that we've had. We have no concern about that. We've booked 2 users that are actually now paying for digitization to start using the platform from next month. So that's really where that capital comes from. As far as what we've supported in the transaction volume, we need to be doing about $120 million worth of transactions and kind of earning at maybe 1 or 2 of those different levels. So either on the marketplace or through the financing and the ERP system. On the ERP, we're looking for about 250 businesses. We would be break even. We have a pipeline of over 750. And then on financing, it's already generating revenue, and we have 1 team member who has a lot of experience who's been managing that on a part-time basis, but we'd love to bring him on full-time.
I'm really interested in the fintech piece and the underwriting.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's, I mean, I really like factoring and invoice discounting. It's an area that I've looked at a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious about how do you underwrite? And, you know, one of the things that I learned was that in looking at businesses is that, you know, you need to underwrite on the borrower side, but also on the buyer side. Yep. And in my experience in Africa, the buyers are the ones that you need to worry about the most. Yeah. Because, you know, small businesses have been financing the big corporates and buyers across Africa because they don't pay their invoices on time. So I'm curious, you know, how are you doing that? And who's providing the financing to be able to do the advances and the invoice discounting?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, exactly to your point. We are effectively flipping the equation of traditional finance around to say producers generally over 70% of our network is female-led businesses. And oftentimes we find that they don't have the level of collateral to be able to go and find a traditional working capital line. And so instead of looking at their creditworthiness to draw down a working capital line, we're saying, actually, based on our production management tools, we have visibility into their performance, on their quality, their delivery timelines, the production, and actually the specific order that we're financing. We even have visibility in that from the transaction in the marketplace all the way through the production of that on the production tool. So we're able to actually evaluate them not on their creditworthiness for paying us back, but on their ability to produce. And then we look at the buyer's ability to pay, exactly to your point. One of our partners right now is the Citizenry, which is a really large online retailer based in the United States, and they're buying again from around the world. They're effectively outsourcing their financing need to us. And what we have found is that they're even willing to pay the cost of capital on top. We're saying, keep your cash. I did this in my last business as well. We were burning it on both ends. We had retailers that wanted net 90 on delivery, and we had advanced capital for production. So we see it as a big need to grow the sector, is being able to figure out this financing piece. That said, who's financing us today? We're proving it out. We've had 100% repayment rate on 3 cycles now of capital. We would love to be able to grow this with a blended capital perspective. So we are actively in conversation with a number of more philanthropic individuals who would be willing to maybe be first loss partners or guarantors. I'd love to talk to Jim about this, because I know that he works with an organization that does this kind of thing. Yeah, that's another conversation. But I think just being able to find more of that philanthropic capital and then blend that with more traditional finance partners and de-risk it for them from that side as well.
Thank you for that. I think over to the angels on whether there's interest.
Happy to go first. So thank you very much, Ella, for this high quality presentation. So I think the first statement is not a reflection of the quality of the company, but I think at this stage I am not an expert in marketplaces, so it's a bit difficult for me to have a call. So I will have to pass on this one. But there are 4 points that I would like to mention where I think so some potential investors might have questions, and I think question number 1 is evaluation. I think some people might have questions in terms of to date, do you feel like you have demonstrated enough traction? And for instance, in sales number, especially given the amount of money that was raised, used to date, and given the size of the team. I think the 2 other risks that I see here are around the credit and the finance angle of your opportunity. So you've been operating for 6 months, and so 2 or 3 transactions at this date. Obviously, you don't have any non-performing loans, but I think it's a real credit risk that people might see. And I think on the commercial side, sorry, I don't remember if it was Sarah or Kendall who raised the point, but yeah, you just need to make sure that the right people are getting paid at the end of the day the right way, and it's tricky to do that. But otherwise, amazing presentation. Congratulations to you, and looking forward to see how this company will evolve in the next few months.
Thank you. Just to clarify something, if it wasn't clear before, we've cycled it through $45,000, but those are on transactions that are about $10,000 each. So we've cycled through about 13 to 14 different transactions at this point.
Kendall, Sarah?
Okay. Yeah, I think it's, I really like the business. I'm not so worried about the valuation. I think you bring together a lot of experience and talent. And you clearly have a very powerful sort of software team behind you as well. I would agree with Hannah on the credit and finance angle is really just, understanding a little bit more sort of the risk issues. And the reason I like it so much is because the fintech angle takes away the bottlenecks, which is around having cash to produce. So I would look, I just want to look more at that. And I think I have some experiences to share. And I like from the impact perspective, I really like, I really like the fact that you're trying to bridge this digital and economic divide, because one of the things I think, there's a big risk that as the world becomes more digital, that we leave behind certain segments of the population and smaller businesses. So I love the empowerment that you're doing with the tools. I think that's really great. So I'm interested in talking further.
Fantastic.
Great.
Ella, I love you. I love the idea that you're building the African version of Alibaba. I think you actually really are. And I agree with both Kendall and Hannah that the financing piece is both a plus and a minus, in the sense that there's risk associated with it. But at the same time, that's one of the biggest issues that we see for really small entrepreneurs in their manufacturing and trying to get their products to market, whether they're artisans or just small scale producers. The gap for financing those businesses when they've got a big order, but now they need to fulfill it. There's a massive gap between payment, and it's a very real need. So I love that you're trying to address that and trying to figure out solutions for that, which I think is brilliant. The unfortunate part for me is I love, when I make an investment, to feel like I could add real value, and that I could get stuck in and really make a difference in your business. I don't know that I could in this regard. I think you're the expert, and I am not a retail expert, and so I don't have any big connections that would be valuable to you from a sort of a buyer perspective on the other chain. So I'm struggling to see how I could add value, which therefore makes me feel like I'm not the best person to fill some of your holes. Certainly love what you're building, and I too will want to watch this space and see how you progress.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Let me just jump in. I'm not on the angel panel, but I'd love to talk to you further. And I think I'd be very interested in an investment, but also potentially looking at how we can support on that financing side. I think that's precisely the problem, that the CapEx or even trade financing is really the problem that we want to solve with Untapped. And so, especially if you have a digital angle to how payments are processed, we would love to be involved with that. So I'd like to talk to you further about the CapEx financing, the trade financing portion of it, but also potentially as an investor. And I think what we potentially could do is, after further due diligence, potentially round up a small group of angels to take the remaining 200K so you can get to your Q1 targets and metrics.
Fantastic.
But we'll of course have to talk about valuation and everything else. But we can talk about that later. So congratulations, and the poll is up now, and it looks like there's interestingly quite a spectrum of responses from the audience. There are a number who are quite enthusiastic. And there are some who, it's a big idea, and big ideas oftentimes,
it's hard to present in 5 minutes.
It's hard to present in 5 minutes, but also, it's that's not everybody's risk profile. So, and there certainly is an impact angle on this as well. So we just need to make sure we find the right investors.
Great. Well, thank you.
So on that note, congratulations for fabulous presentation, and my team and I will get back in touch, and for both Elor and Ella, and pull together some follow-up calls so that hopefully we can see something happen.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so
Great.
much.
Thank you so much, Ella.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining this call and for joining this week. And just as a reminder, we do have next week some fabulous new shows with great partners. July 30th next week, we are partnering with 1,000 Alternatives for a show focused on East Africa. And August 6th, we have a show focused on East Africa as well with IntelliCamp, mostly Kenya. And then on the 13th of August, we will be going to Nigeria in partnership with Lofty Inc. So I hope you come back, hope you can join us, and we'll see you back here again in a week. Thank you.